Good morning and happy Thursday, everybody. Welcome into 104.3 The Fans Coffee Break. D-Mac didn't get the notification from the Denver Broncos that it was indeed no presser today. They're all going to be doing it via Zoom, but you know what? He said, screw it. We're going to hang out at UC Health Training Center regardless and enjoy the cold weather. I am on location in Kansas too. We see lots of people hanging out with us. Paul, good morning. Vicky, Troy B, everybody, we hope you're staying warm and safe. And again, we do want to start off the show by passing along our condolences to Ronnie Hillman's family as he passed away at the age of 31 yesterday from a rare form of cancer. So we do want to pass that along. Tragic. I mean, he was a part of so many great moments here in Denver, D-Mac.
Oh, yeah. I'm so sad. He was a Super Bowl champion. He was a pretty quiet dude overall. Mm-hmm. And running backs have a crazy short career in the NFL period. All running backs do. So it just kind of feels like, he was like barely here. But no, he had a pretty significant impact. He was very young when he came into the league out of San Diego State. He was only 20 years old. So he was just young sort of period, but he was a star, a real shining star. And I deepest condolences for his family and friends today. Way, way, way too young. I mean, absurdly too young. So very sad day.
Well, and D-Mac, you were on the radio with Derek Wolfe when he kind of announced that Ronnie was in hospice and everything. And obviously Derek being a teammate of his.
Yeah, I mean, it impacts a lot of guys that were teammates of his that are still so young. I mean, that is, again, I never had anybody in my life. I was very, very fortunate when I was that young in my early 30s that, I knew, say, in college. Like I to this day, I haven't, and I'm in my, I'm 53 now. I haven't had a college friend pass away. So to have a teammate and somebody that young, just terribly tragic. I'm so sad.
Yeah, our condolences from the entire 104.3, the fan family, as well as Bonneville as well. Well, D-Mac, the holidays, they're almost here too. So while we do celebrate, make sure you hug your loved ones while you can. But we do want to talk about last night. The Pro Bowl announcements or selections were announced, I guess I should say. And Pat Surtain, last year was a big deal because no Broncos were selected. Well, Pat Surtain will be there this year and Justin Simmons as an alternate. Is this coming as any surprise for Pat Surtain? Obviously, he's been one of the biggest names to come out of this Denver Broncos team all season.
Well, the Pro Bowl voting is very interesting because it's made up of players, personnel people, and fans. And in the fan voting, Surtain was nowhere close. I mean, he wasn't even in the top 10. So not only did he make the Pro Bowl, Rachel, but he became a starter. So the respect he has amongst his peers and the coaches of the league, well, we just saw it. So we'll see if he gets named an All-Pro as well. I would say that's a great possibility. So, hey, great for Patrick Surtain. That's awesome. He's a tremendous young player. Champ Bailey made the Pro Bowl for the first time in his second year. So I think it's wonderful. I think he's well deserving of it, and I'm excited for him. And that's it, man. You got Justin Simmons as an alternate. And in terms of the rest of the Broncos, that's a wrap. And when you look at some of the better teams, Rachel, it's 5, 6, 7 guys on the teams. And you just see just how far the Broncos have to go.
Oh, I know. When you look at Pat Surtain, what similarities do you see between him and Champ Bailey? Champ Bailey was my favorite player of all time, will forever be. He's one of the reasons that I got into football, just because I loved watching his game so much. But what similarities do you see between the two of them?
Well, tremendous athleticism. Pat Surtain, though, is bigger than Champ Bailey, 6'2". And Champ might have been about 6 feet tall. So he's actually taller, longer. I don't think he's as fast. I mean, Champ was really, really fast. But instincts for the ball, instincts on how to play the position, incredible athleticism, those type of similarities. And so the sky's the limit for Patrick Surtain in terms of what he can achieve in his career. You see so many cornerbacks in there, 5'9", 5'10", that sort of thing. And at 6'2", he really stands out. I don't think he's afraid of a physical game. Champ didn't love tackling, but he didn't mind it, and he was good at it. And I think Surtain has those qualities as well. Excuse me. He's not a finished product. He's had a couple of, not so great moments. The Devontae Adams Raiders game in particular. But you got to go through those growing paths. The unfair thing, though, Rachel, is to throw the word generational on Patrick Surtain. It's an unfair thing to do to him. You shouldn't. It was still a mistake taking a cornerback over a quarterback. And you can see what the impact is. So you have arguably one of the best cornerbacks, maybe the best. You have maybe the best cornerback in the AFC. So what? I mean, what has that translated to in terms of overall team success? And would you be more excited to have Patrick Surtain on your team for next year or Justin Fields?
D-Mac.
I know that, Rachel. I know that's where you were going, so I just got there. I know that's what you were trying to do, so I just did it.
Well, not technically, maybe not this early in the conversation. I was going to stay more on we're talking about my favorite player of all time, Champ Bailey, so I wanted to stay there for a little bit longer. But this ultimately does open up this conversation about you drafted a very high-profiled cornerback, and it's not doing anything for your team. Yeah,
let's go in that direction. So Champ Bailey was here with the Broncos, and one of his quarterbacks was Jake Plummer. Well, they did pretty good with Jake Plummer and Champ Bailey. They got to the AFC Championship game, and they lost to the Steelers and Jerome Bettis. Okay, how did he do with Jay Cutler? Well, nobody did very good with Jay Cutler. They never made the playoffs, and you had to move on from Jay. You still had Champ Bailey, but now you're not getting to the playoffs because Jay Cutler never achieved. Well, then you have Kyle Orton. How you do with Kyle? Well, not good. Not good with Kyle Orton. You still got Champ Bailey.
Yep.
And then you got
it doesn't take away from Champ Bailey's career, but Champ Bailey also never was able to win a Super Bowl, right? That was the big thing when they played the Seahawks, is that, he could finally win a Super Bowl, go out on top. Well, they weren't able to get it done, so he never won a Super Bowl.
No, and by that time he was a shadow of his former self. He was actually, sadly, in Super Bowl 48, he was part of the problem, not the solution. It's just that he was older, and you just lose a little MPH off your fastball. But he did get to the playoffs with Tim Tebow. So what are we saying here, Rachel? I mean, it's great to have great cornerbacks. It's great to have great players, and you need great players. But Rachel, it's just, again, it's another example with Champ Bailey. He never won a Super Bowl. And so is Patrick Surtain going to be as good as Champ Bailey? I hope so. That would be amazing. But that is not I'll tell you this. If Justin Fields is as good as Peyton Manning, which is ridiculous, but if he is, you're winning Super Bowls. If Justin Fields is as good as Jay Cutler or Jake Plummer, you're going to championship games in the playoffs. If Justin Fields can figure out a way to win football games like Tim Tebow, you're going to the playoffs. Your corner is just the relative value of the corner, Rachel. While it's great to have great players, and you need great players, if we're stirring the straw about would you rather have Fields or Surtain, even with a 3-10 Bears team, I'd rather have Fields than Surtain.
Okay, question. Would you rather have the Broncos have taken Josh Allen over Bradley Chubb or Justin Fields over Pat Surtain?
No, the Allen over Chubb is the worst draft mistake of all time.
So you would have had Josh Allen before Justin Fields then?
Oh, Rachel, if we had Josh Allen, the Broncos would be they'd be just like the Bills, Rachel. We'd be in the playoffs for the fourth straight year.
I still just don't believe that Josh Allen would be the exact same player that he is today if he was here in Denver. I do not think that he would have been set up for success here.
That's AIS, assumed incompetence syndrome.
But you're also assuming that he would be just as good. So that's AIS.
That's how, Rachel, that's how good he is. And don't forget, if you committed to Josh Allen, you would be committing to a different philosophical approach to football. You would be counting on different coaches, different style of play. If the Broncos had drafted Josh Allen, they would have figured everything out because he's that good of a player. Same for Justin Fields. They will figure everything out. Do not forget, when you have a player like Josh Allen or Justin Fields, you're not giving up draft picks. You're not giving up big money because you have them on their rookie contract initially, Rachel. So you can build all sorts of things around it. What could you build around Bradley Chubb? You only build around You had Case Keenum, Rachel. That's who you had. You had freaking Case Keenum and John Elway. And then the next year you had Joe Flacco. I mean, what are we talking about here? So it doesn't matter how good the defensive player is if your offensive player and your quarterback is mediocre or lousy. Never mind below average, which is where Russell Wilson is. I mean, he is below average.
When you look at it, it's the quarterback is the foundation of the house, and you can maybe make the cornerback like the roof of it, right? You have to have your foundation nice and strong, and then you can add to the top of it.
A cornerback is like an awesome skylight. It's
give them a little more credit. They're not just there for decoration.
An awesome skylight brings in light and sun and happiness and joy, but you can live without it. I mean, Rachel, I doubt you or anybody could name the top cornerbacks on the Vikings, top cornerbacks on the Bills, on the Chiefs. I mean, who are these people?
Yeah, I can name you a lot of offensive weapons over there, but
of course, you can name Kirk Cousins. You can name Josh Allen. You can name Patrick Mahomes, Travis Kelce. You can name all those guys.
Yeah. No, you're right. Trust me, I understand. It's the foundation. That's a QB. You got to invest in your QB and go younger, because if you invest when they're a little bit older, you never know what can happen. Do you really – D-Mac, we've had this conversation.
Rachel, let me tell you something else. The second best player is a safety. I mean, that's not even the skylight. The safety is like the drainage pipe on the roof. Like, I mean, you got to – the gutter. You got to have one, but I mean, it's like the least sexiest thing on the house is the gutter. That's that situation.
Frank Lloyd Wright, the good building is not one that hurts the landscape, but one which makes the landscape more beautiful than it was before the building was built. Amen to that.
Well, thank God Frank Lloyd is weighing in here today.
Oh, appreciate it. Okay, I do want to get on to, though, yesterday we did hear from Nathaniel Hackett.
You see what I'm drinking, though, right? You see what I'm drinking here, Rachel?
His Ballerina water.
Ballerina water!
You gotta have it in your car, man.
And I cannot believe you're not making more fun of me, because you can see where I am, right?
I know. Trust me. I know. You're sitting
I'm here in Broncoland. I'm here in Broncoland. It's -10, and I literally didn't get the memo. I did not get the memo. They were on Zoom. So I got up. I worked out. Good for me. Rah, rah. But I cut my workout short because I was sleeping. And I got here, and they're not even doing any. I can't even go in the building, right?
Nope.
Because they're doing everything on Zoom.
You're just testing the roads for everyone to let them know how it's going.
I am a moron. On the one day where everything gets canceled and nobody has to go anywhere, I'm here. I'm here at the Broncos when I can't do anything except drink my Ballerina water.
I bet it's cold.
Wear you see this Imperial Challenge hat?
Okay, fancy. I do like it.
Low-key bragging. You got to bike up to Peak 8, and then you got to hike up Breckenridge, and then you got to ski down. That's the Imperial Challenge.
Is your water frozen?
What's that?
Is your water frozen?
It's cold, but no, hey, recyclable aluminum. Not frozen at all, just cold, and will be useful for the planet in the future.
Exactly. Okay, well, we did hear from the Broncos yesterday in person, actually, not via Zoom. And Nathaniel Hackett kind of said he was a senior consultant almost to the offense now, which as a head coach, I'm not sure if I really like, D-Mac.
I feel like I'm a senior consultant to the Broncos. They just don't pay attention to any of my advice. I mean, aren't we all senior consultants? I am dying someday for somebody to pay me money to be a freaking consultant. That'd
be wild.
Oh my God, that is the job of all jobs. Hey, you guys should think about doing this, that, and the other thing. I'm off to Tulsa. See you later. I gotta consult somebody else. Oh no, consult's like being a grandparent. Like, yeah, you're part of everything, but how much responsibility do you really have to those grandkids?
True.
I mean, you can play with them a little bit, babysit every now and then, give your kids advice for their kids. But at the end of the day, hey, not on me. I'm a
Baby's
consultant.
crying, you can have him. Oh, the baby pooped, you got it. Have fun.
See, here's the problem. If we're looking for like a great consultant, we would like just hire Gary Kubiak back here. You would hire somebody with far more experience. Consultant. He's a consultant. Why is he a consultant?
Why is he like? Why would you want your coach to be a consultant? Like, that doesn't even make sense.
Rachel, you wouldn't. So we've got a weird situation.
Why would you say that? If you're trying to save your own job, why would you even say that?
He doesn't know. Rachel, I'll cut him some slack. He's trying his best. He doesn't know what he's doing or what's going on. And, I think there's about a 30% chance that he retains his job. I think this situation right now is very similar to where Vic Fangio was at this time last year. Like, yeah, he's mostly out the door. Everybody thinks he's out the door. He easily could be out the door, but you got the Chiefs, you got the Chargers, you got a national slime time game on Nickelodeon with the Rams. I mean, the door, I'd say 30%. Because if you get 2 out of your next 3 wins and Greg Panner can't lock down Jim Harbaugh,
yeah,
I mean, you may just do it over again. And I think from what I've been told, the Broncos are going to swing big. They're going to swing big, and we'll see how they cash in when they swing big. But if you swing big and miss, and you do win 2 out of 3 games, I think there's a chance Hackett could be back. But Rachel, it's a low chance. It's a low chance. But it's not over. And I'm telling you this, it wasn't over for Vic Fangio at this time last year. Had Vic, and he almost did it, figured a way to beat the Chiefs, he might have saved his job. But, he lost to the Chiefs, and at the time it was 13 in a row. And, you'd gone nowhere for 3 years. You didn't have a winning record for 3 years. And they wanted to get Aaron Rodgers. It finally hit George Payton like a thunderbolt. Finally hit him. We need a quarterback. Oh, I gotta get a quarterback. Oh, Teddy Bridgewater and Drew Lock aren't the answer. How about Geno Smith making the Pro Bowl?
Wait, I missed that. Are you serious?
Geno Smith made the Pro Bowl
as the starter.
Well, no, I don't know who the starter is.
Oh, okay. I was like,
it's one of 3 guys, but yeah, he made the Pro Bowl.
Good for Geno Smith. Good for him.
Yeah.
What some of us have heard was a bad situation out there in Seattle, or not a great situation with Russ, to stick it out, and then look at what ends up happening. I mean, good for him.
It's amazing.
Good for Geno.
It's
good
amazing.
For Geno. I'm here for it. Same for Buffs fans, though, when they stick it out the past couple of years now to have Coach Prime here, and he's bringing in a crazy class. We're going to talk to Jake Shapiro as he is welcome in, because they got some really big names yesterday. It's kind of insane. I'm still like a loss. I was driving yesterday, and Jake's like bombing our group chat, being like, you guys, you have to see all of these names. So Jake, who's the biggest one, and why do people need to care?
Well, hello. It's pretty awesome in Boulder, Colorado right now. While you guys were talking, like literally, Rachel, while you were doing that intro, the Buffaloes have just landed another transfer. This kid is Western Michigan defensive end, 6'3", 275 pounds. And he was rated the 17th best run stuffer in NCAA football last year. So another valued contributor who will be very good. But to answer your question, who is the best? Who is the most exciting person the Colorado Buffaloes have gotten? Well, there are very few people probably that are well known nationally in college football. And I would guess 9 out of the 10 of them are quarterbacks. The one that's not is Travis Hunter, who is a cornerback / wide receiver who went to Jackson State at the last second, spurred Florida State, Deion Sanders alumni, where he went to school, to go to Jackson State with Deion, played on both sides of the ball, was absolutely kick-ass this year when he was on the field and wasn't hurt, including in the Celebration Bowl. And Travis Hunter last night announced his commitment to the University of Colorado, his transfer to the University of Colorado, where he's expected to play both sides of the ball. And instantly, He is probably the best athlete on the campus of Colorado Boulder since Jenny Simpson, who is an incredible track athlete, probably the best football player on campus since at least since Jimmy Smith, who played cornerback for the Ravens for a while, and maybe since we're talking like Darian Hagens. Like, this is just an incredible get.
Wow. Yeah. And he got over 100,000 YouTube subscribers yesterday in order to announce it. So what a great marketing plan on his part. Jake, how do you anticipate this working out with him playing both sides of the ball? Is that, I know we know Deion's career and everything, but as we saw this year when DMAC asked about Pat Surtain, even just returning punts, it was almost a laughable cause from some people. So how do you anticipate it really playing out?
Well, it's not completely unheard of in college to play both sides of the ball. Like, that's something that happens. And they actually have another kid, Adam Hopkins, who is a 4-star wide receiver / cornerback who was supposed to go to Auburn, who's in the same boat. And it seems like every player who really wants to play both sides of the ball, that's sought after, that's maybe getting pushed a direction, is going to come to play at Colorado because Deion Sanders says, hey, you could play both sides of the ball. I did it. So this is like a recruiting tactic by Deion. And I think it can work. When he was doing it this past year, Hunter, at Jackson State, he wasn't playing every snap on offense. He'd come in there on third down, play a little slot receiver, maybe go out wide. He'd play probably, if there were 60 snaps on offense per game, he'd probably play between 15 and 25. Well, that's still a lot, like 15 to 25 snaps in addition to the 60 snaps you're playing on defense. But there's a good chance that he's going to continue to do this. And it's going to work out. Like, the Buffs right now, their wide receiver room is Jordan Tyson, who's returning from last year, and one player that they really did want to keep. He was an All-American freshman. And then it's a bunch of guys that are going to try and win spots, and Travis Hunter can win that spot. And guess what? Travis Hunter has an amazing connection with Colorado's newest quarterback, Deion Sanders' son, Shedeur Sanders. So I think this is going to work out for Colorado. I mean, I'm psyched. I personally want to go out and get the Travis Hunter jersey right now. And there's a chance that Corman E. McLean, who is the second best player in the country in this high school recruiting class that signed yesterday, he did not sign at the University of Miami yesterday. And the rumor is that Colorado is in on him. And guess what? He's also a cornerback as well. So you could have the best cornerback from last year's class and the best cornerback from this year's class playing in CU secondary, which obviously is a callback to guys like Chidobe Awuzie, Isaiah Oliver, Kello Witherspoon, Tedrick Thompson, who all played together at Colorado just a couple of years ago.
Okay, interesting. For DMAC, I do want to apologize because it made it sound like I was saying like you had a laughing stock of a comment about the Pat Surtain thing. In my head, it came out very different. I would like to say that was not my case there, so I just want to apologize to you first. What do you think, though, DMAC, about the way that this recruiting class is going?
Yeah, it's funny. When I first saw that Travis Hunter wasn't going to come in until he had 100,000 subscribers, there was a moment of like rolling up my eyes, like, oh, whatever. But I saw the video that he posted on social media, and all right, that's awesome. I just thought it was so cool. And the kid obviously comes from, he's got so much energy and enthusiasm and excitement, and it was jaw-dropping to hear, because he rattled off all the other schools that he was talking to recently. I mean, it was Alabama, Georgia, Florida, Florida State. He could have gone anywhere. This kid actually, and as much as we all assumed he was going to come here because of Prime and Shedeur and all that, I mean, this kid had offers everywhere. He could have gone anywhere in the country, and he could have said, Shedeur, Prime, I love you, but, Nick Saban, Florida, I mean, whatever. And he's still coming to Colorado. So I think we all took that for granted, and I don't think we should have. And I realized that watching the video, and I'm like, that is pretty awesome. That is amazing that he's coming here. And we'll see what else it attracts. So I went from being an old fogey and like, bar humbug with the subscribers to like, I hit the subscribe button. I subscribed.
Wait, did you actually?
Yeah. Yeah, of
Oh
course.
my gosh.
I did
Of
too.
course.
Him and his girlfriend have a little YouTube channel vlog together, and it's cute. And they like cook together, and he does cooking tips. It's cute. Like he's got a good YouTube channel.
Well, he's very connected to his girlfriend. Now we can have a different conversation about that. But, so he mentioned she's a college student too, and she wanted to go somewhere that was good for her as well. So, hey, listen, I think the whole thing is fantastic. It's a good place for him. It's a good place for her. These are athletes that were not coming to see you guys, period. The end. They used to, and they weren't, and now they are. Come on, man. Makes the Buffs look cool. And, if you look cool, you get cool people, and a lot more cool people are headed to see you, and I'm pumped about it.
Okay,
what did Deion say? Look good, feel good, play good, and when you play good, they pay good. That's the famous Deion quote. And just to your point, D-Mac, Pat Surtain, 5th overall pick in the draft? Travis Hunter is going to have a chance at being that for Colorado. And the thing is, when an NFL team is drafting Travis Hunter, they're going to say that guy was a shutdown corner in college. We think he can do that in the NFL.
Well,
but,
hold on,
he also had 1,000 yards receiving.
I don't need to be the correction police. We can't forget, Pat Surtain was the ninth.
Okay. My bad.
Sauce Gardner was a higher pick.
Bradley Chubb and Surtain, I got the numbers mixed up. That's what it was.
It happens. It happens. I do want to move on, though, because the show is going by way too fast. Everybody in the comments, thanks for hanging out with us this morning. Again, we are wishing everybody very happy holidays, but we got to move on to the Avs last night because an overtime win. D-Mac, were you in attendance last night?
Of course I was, Rachel. I have no life. I was at the game.
I just wanted to check, but I'm going to have this conversation because it's interesting. Obviously, Mikko Rantanen has absolutely been playing lights out for this team. Who's the best player right now that's playing for the Avs? Is it Makar or is it Mikko Rantanen?
No, it's Mikko Rantanen by a mile. I mean, he is on, he is on pace to score 50 goals this year. Kale's kind of, I don't know what's going on with Kale. He's
Is he getting in
like a little struggle? Well, they're having a struggle period scoring goals. They went over 100 regulation minutes without a goal. Over 100. I was counting it up. They had 73 shots on net without a goal. And I asked Mikko about that last night. That is crazy, right? You would think something goes in after 73 shots. And thank goodness Artturi Lehkonen against his old team, Montreal, got that goal. And then Mikko got the 3-on-3 goal in overtime. It's been a really positive stretch for the Avalanche because they got 4 out of 5 wins at home. They got 8 out of 10 points. Okay. That is a tremendous homestand. It just was weird how it happened. It was overtime games, shootouts, 3-1 games. I mean, really, really close. The weird outlier was that Buffalo game where they got down 3-0 and kind of came back. And they're doing it a different way. I was talking to Joe Sakic briefly last night, and I congratulated him about, having a gutsy homestand, and he agreed. They were all kind of smiling, shaking their heads, laughing about it because it's so different than the team that we're used to. They are now terrible on the power play. They are not scoring goals. Cale Makar is not a superstar like he once was in terms of scoring and offensive production. How are they winning games, guys? How are they doing it? And they're talking about finding a way, which was their slogan last year. And the most important guy, Mikko Rantanen. And Georgiev, okay? I mean, you can't do this unless you get fantastic goaltending play. And it's been primarily Georgiev.
No, I agree.
Let me say, Mikko's been awesome. He's been more than a point per game guy. Cale has still been a point per game guy. And not only has he been a point per game guy, but the Avs have the second best defense by goals allowed in the Western Conference right now. So yeah, obviously that's a lot goaltending, but it's also on your top defenseman who's on the ice for 27 minutes a night, half the game. So while we can talk about Mikko and the fantastic season he's having and, going to average 50 goals or maybe be on pace for 50 goals, I think it comes back to Cale still because the fact of the matter is the Avs are successful and they're fighting for playoff position right now, and they're still holding on because of their defense has been really good. Their offense has been okay, but they're succeeding because they are stifling teams. And again, it comes back to the guy who is the top player on the ice for half the game, and that is Cale Makar.
Listen, what this really proves is the most important player for the Colorado Avalanche is freaking Nathan MacKinnon. Okay. I mean, we're kind of hemming and hawing about this particular situation. The sun is Nathan MacKinnon, and all these guys are planets around the sun. And I had this, not argument, but discussion last year. As great as Cale Makar is, okay, the most important player for that Colorado Avalanche team is Nathan MacKinnon. And it is weird. They're 5-2-1 without Nathan MacKinnon. But look how they've had to win these games. No, Nathan MacKinnon, and it's good that he's back on skates, and, you know, it looks like he's progressing nicely. But if you want to say, oh, well, in your case, oh, it's Cale, and I'm saying, oh, it's Mikko, the thing that we should both agree on is that it's Nathan MacKinnon. And so just hang on till he comes back. And when he comes back, because other guys are getting healthy too, I think it could really pop. I think it could really be like, woo, you know, you could really see things light up. Don't forget you're missing Bo Byram, and that is a crazy scoring threat, a power play guy, an incredible offensive forward as well. So everything's going to pick up when they get Byram back, MacKinnon, and of course Landeskog, as well as Josh Manson. So there's still a lot of good guys to come. Plus, I'm telling you, they are going to make a deal. They will make a deal for a legit second line center. I have no doubts about it. And that should really perk things up as well.
Do you think that deal is going to come close to the trade deadline, or do you think they'll do it earlier?
It's a good question. They just brought on Dennis Malgin for Dryden Hunt. I think if they could do it, they'll just do it. I think they realize Alex Newhook's not a 2C. He's a winger. I think they want to hang on to him. I think they know Rodriguez would be just as effective as a winger. And I think they'll just – it's a good question, Rachel. I'm not sure. But I think they'll pull the trigger because I think all those other experiments have sort of flamed out. I think you know what you have already. So I think as soon as they can do it, they will do it.
I think they're going to wait till just up and before the deadline. And it's not because of they don't want to. It's what DMAC just said at the end is when they can do it, they'll do it. The way the NHL salary cap works is it's not, you know, you need to stay under $50 million the entire year if that's the salary cap. It's cumulative. So every single day a player is on the roster, it adds up to the salary cap. So when you get towards the end of the season and you say, oh, the Avs started with $3 million in available salary cap space. Well, if you're more than halfway through the season, you could take on a $6 million salary cap hit because you can add up into it. And then when you count guys that have been on long-term IR like Gabriel Landeskog, the Avs are more or less going to be able to afford to trade for a max contract player, but they're going to have to wait until just before the trade deadline. So when we look at who could the Avs add, well, it's no longer a question of how are they going to skirt salaries with Samuel Girard and stuff, the same conversations we were having in the offseason. It's they could trade for Jonathan Toews, who's like the 7th highest paid player in hockey, if they wait till February, but obviously it's going to cost significant capital to get a guy who's won 3 Stanley Cups. So it's going to be about finding the right guy because it's either like last year, they're going to make a couple really good moves together, or it's clear that they have one big issue, which is second line center, and they're going to use everything on a massive splash. And I'm going to be interested to see which route they go because last year that worked out great. But this year, the team's got different problems.
Yeah, this is a feather in the cap, too, for those that said move on from Girard for Kadri. You know, you're getting a little bit of a victory lap right now. And I love Sam Girard. I think he's terrific. But I'd rather have Kadri than Sam Girard at this point. And this is why you see them do some really weird little moves, like move guys down and move guys up. But when you do move guys down, to save money on what Jake's talking about, you could lose them. And that actually did happen this year. Jason Megna got claimed. And like, who's Jason Megna? And I'm like, you know, overall, I agree with you. But, you know, you do risk losing dudes. if you do stuff like that. So they did do a deal for Mulligan, who played a lot last night. By the way, guys, he's barely been on the team. I think he racked up, gosh, did he get like 20 minutes or something? I mean, he played quite a bit. And then he drew a penalty, and I don't know, who knows? That was a weird penalty too, because there's hardly any penalties being called on the Avalanche these days because they're not nearly as aggressive as they used to be. And then you have Makar waving off penalties. So you have a bizarre combination. Instead of 4, 5, 6 power play opportunities, I think last night there were 2 power play chances for the Avs and 1 for the Canadians. So you had that was a pretty boring ass game last night. What can I tell you? I mean, that was like a boring pitcher's duel. Montreal's going nowhere fast, despite their 500 media people that follow every move of that team. The Avs didn't score a goal till Lehkonen broke that 100-minute streak in the third period. And even 3-on-3s are not what they used to be. 3-on-3s now are like soccer. You gain possession and you make like triangle passes. Everything in soccer, more or less, until there's an attack, is a bunch of pawns moving around. And 3-on-3 in hockey used to be up, down, up, down, up, down. Now they figured it out. They're like, if it's not there, we just take it out of the zone. So 3-on-3 in the NHL now, guys, is like 3 possessions. In fact, if you see the game-winning goal, the puck was on the doorstep of the Avalanche. I mean, it was like a foot. They were a foot away from losing it. They swept it up, and it became a 2-on-1. It was like a fast break, but fast breaks hardly ever happen on 3-on-3 for the reason that we saw. So you saw a very good homestand, but that might have been the most boring homestand that was great in Avs history. I don't think you can find anything as good and as boring as what we just saw for these past 5 games.
Well, of course, the Avs record has been good without McKinnon because they did it all at home. Just to add to your point of like, that's not really an indictment on McKinnon. Second of all, I think we're going to look back at some of these bubble championships and be like, that was the biggest outlier in sports history. Like, how the hell did the Canadians sneak into the Stanley Cup final that year? Like, that was bizarre. And then third of all, when I first saw 3-on-3s, it was the greatest thing I've ever seen in hockey. And I've watched so much hockey in my life. It was awesome. It was refreshing. It was like pond hockey. And then these teams, as you said, DMAC, figured it out and realized it was all about possession and not getting yourself at a disadvantage. And it's become stagnant. It's not that fun to watch anymore. I have an idea for fixing it. No more icing, no more offsides. Get rid of all the lines when it comes to overtime with 3-on-3. So basically, if a team wanted to cherry pick or if a team wanted to throw the puck towards the other end, you could do it. I think it would create a little bit more chaos. And traditionally, when you're playing 3-on-3, at least in the sport of hockey, it is more pond hockey. There aren't refs. It's more of just kind of pick up basketball. So that would take away those elements and bring it back towards pond hockey, which was the entire point of 3-on-3 in the first place. And I'd be a big fan of it. I always loved 4-on-4, and I've always loved 3-on-3. I wouldn't be opposed to 5 minutes of 4-on-4, then 5 minutes of 3-on-3 instead of a shootout even.
I think that's a couple of very good ideas. My son played through high school 3-on-3 summer hockey. That's what they did in the summer. They played in 3-on-3 leagues because really it was about, power skating and getting better in those skills. So you'd have like 9 guys on a team, and they would just, nobody was a forward, nobody was a defenseman, and there was no offsides. And even when you scored a goal on 3-on-3, the goalie just kicked it out and you just start playing again. They didn't do any face-offs. It was pretty cool. You'd have a good workout in, that's for sure. Jake, it's a good idea. They've figured out how to make 3-on-3 hockey boring, and they probably should consider a change.
Let the chaos continue. That's what overtime is for. Like, let it be crazy. Let the crowd get into it a little bit more. Let the players really amp up, go to that next level. I like the idea a lot, Jake. Okay, we only have a few more minutes, so I do want to get to this question. If you only have 3 hours to watch TV on Christmas Day, are you watching the Nuggets Suns or are you watching the Broncos Rams, DMAC?
I'm watching the Broncos Rams, and there's just more things on the line on the Broncos Rams game than the Suns and the Nuggets. It's a big game for the Nuggets. I'll be there. I'm excited to be there. But it's one of 82. It's a nice one. Hopefully they win. but there's jobs on the line. We need to see if Russell Wilson is better than Brett Rippon. It's more meaningful what's happening in the Broncos-Rams game than the Nuggets Suns. Now, if you want to just ask me what's a more exciting 3 hours, if that's the question, that's a different question. If you say, what would I rather watch? I'm going to watch the more compelling story. But if you want to ask me just what's more exciting, I mean, it's not even close. It's the Nuggets Suns by a mile. But inherently, I'm actually a huge NBA fan. I just think NBA basketball is really exciting, period. I like scoring. And even the other night with the Grizzlies, I thought it was compelling, even though it was more of a defensive game. There's just more exciting moments in general that happen in the NBA, in my opinion, than any other sport. So I find myself a huge NBA fan.
So I'm trying currently to find the last time. Oh, here it is. The last time Jamal Murray played the Phoenix Suns. This was January 23rd of 2021. So this is before Suns in 4 guy. This is even before Aaron Gordon. I have not seen this obnoxious Phoenix Suns team take on what should have been the Denver Nuggets over the last 2 years. And truthfully, we might not even see it on Christmas because of MPJ. But I hate this team. And so do so many Nuggets fans, and so do so many people across the NBA. They are unbearable to watch. They are constantly bickering. They are complaining, and their fans are very annoying. If I were to say the Nuggets have a rivalry with any team that's like on their level, because obviously Nuggets fans hate the Lakers, but the Lakers won a lot of championships, I would say it might be the Phoenix Suns. So I want to see the Nuggets pound the Phoenix Suns. I want to see Jamal Murray come in there. I want to see Aaron Gordon go in there and get some payback, because it has been rough for the Nuggets against the Suns. They have the perfect way to defend Nikola Jokic, which is an athletic big who's very tall and very good in DeAndre Ayton, and then a lot of length in the wings. Well, some of that length has gone away because Jay Crowder forced to trade because of their owner is a racist and was forced to sell the team. That was something that happened this year, which, by the way, their new ownership group is somebody who was in on the Broncos ownership. So that's going to be interesting to watch out in Phoenix. So this Phoenix team is a team of chaos right now. I think it's got a lot of interesting storylines. I think the Nuggets, in terms of how they match up with the Suns, are the Suns on the same tier as the Nuggets? Are the Nuggets on the same tier as the Suns? I think it's going to be really interesting to see. But as to D-Mac's point, they're going to play like 4 more times this regular season. I understand D-Mac's point, but I do not care what the Denver Broncos do in what is more or less a meaningless football game on Christmas, except let's get slimed. I want to see some slime.
Now, the truth to your question, though, you don't have to make a choice. The Broncos are on at 2:30. The Nuggets are on at 8:30. Either way, it's an awesome Denver sports viewing day, so you can enjoy it all.
True. You absolutely can. And we hope you enjoyed this episode of Coffee Break. Thank you guys so much for hanging out with us. Happy holidays to everybody. We are off tomorrow, so we will not have a Coffee Break episode, but you can tune in on Sunday for all of our game day live coverage. These two will be at the Nuggets game too, keeping you updated on everything you need to know. And then we'll be back for another episode of Coffee Break Monday morning to break down the Broncos and Nuggets game. So come hang out with us. Merry Christmas, happy holidays, happy Hanukkah, everybody. And we will see you guys later. Bye, everybody.